Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, here. We're live, obviously, with ESL Meister Shelf. My name is Hugo. Joining me today is Harry. And how are you doing, my man?
You know, dude, I'm doing very, very good, but I don't think we have much time, to go over the complexities of it all. As we can see, all the attacks already well and truly underway in towards this B site, and while they kick things off, Chris is going to be starting things off in a nice way as he takes out Sryson very early on. It's going to help open up this B site. Bomb does get chunked across, though, and should be going down any second now. The rotate already fully underway, and PENTA, well, they find themselves with the man advantage here for the retake.
Yeah, they're going to be coming in hot, but alternate attacks, they still have plenty of players left on this one. It is only just going to favour PENTA in terms of manpower, but can they hit the shots? That's the important question. Push comes in from Tarson into the vents. That's going to be crispy to deny, but NKJ pushing in through mid actually gets shut down by the CT side, so now it's going to be back into a 3-on-3. The bomb yet to be defused, and the time it's ticking away. They need to hurry up with this one. Crispy's just going to be holding on, trying to spray down, wasting the time of Mike S, and while there will be a couple of kills at least going in the way of alternate attacks, it's all going to be on Mike.
Yeah, finds himself in a 1-on-2, pushing in towards the site mode to pick up one frag here as he does get face checked out. And Tizian is very low HP, only going to take one shot to take him down, but Mike S finds himself against the wall. Oh, there we go, the knife coming on in. That's exactly what they would have liked. That's going to be a nice little, economic bonus, as well as a bit of a morale boost there. With the set of attacks, they do indeed get the bomb down, and they secure that first round on the board, getting the pistol and the knife kill. Will more than support this buy-up now in round number 2.
Yeah, and I think it's something interesting to talk about. Obviously, this matchup is probably the two best teams in the whole event just left into this, and this will be the semi-finals match instead. So it's quite interesting to see probably the best two teams play, and obviously one will be eliminated after this best of 3. This is going to be the first map for those who just tuned in. Cash, the map choice of PENTA. Second one will be Dust 2. That's going to be a Tax's pick, and third one Cobble if we get to that one too. So kicking it off into the second round, we are going to see the pistols out for PENTA as they start to force things up, as the typical German style is. The Deagles are going to be in their hands, but alternate attacks, they're playing this one fairly safe. They've got a couple of rifles, a triple SMG buy, and that is going to be the at least PENTA as they start to push up towards highway here. Bit of mid control, and they can potentially split this into an A, but you can already see backing off inside the vents. They're going to be pushing in through B main as well, and this will be the split out onto the B site.
Yeah, lots of aggression here. Tarzan is someone who's in the back line. They're not going to check him, and as a result, he might be able to pick up a couple of frags here as he peeks on round. Spots them out, misses that first shot, but then does land the second, dropping out Sryson very early on once again. Flashes himself out, tries to go on the back of that peak, but can't quite find anything just yet. It is severely impeding, though, these afterplant positions right now from this side of alternate attacks, as you can see. They're finding it very difficult to kind of set up for this bomb plant, and the retake is going to be underway. Flashes making their way on through. Tarzan's going to get taken out as Tizian does find him on the back of the AK. Then it's Enki to make his way through as he starts dropping players left and right. It's going to be good night now for the side of PENTA, as it is looking like they're going to fall on back and save. Mike S does have that scout in hand. He's going to be watching the CT aggression. Crystal's here as well to back him up, but it is going to be a second round on the board for alternate attacks here as they get that bomb down. They keep 3 players alive, 2 AKs in hand, and a good bit of utility as well. Mike S is able to save, though, and take that scout. Live to fight another day as it goes 2-0.
Yeah, nice stuff indeed, just to kick off this first map. Sorry for alternate attacks. They aren't going to be having too many struggles for the time being. But again, we come down to the question is, can they keep it going? Or are we eventually going to see PENTA come right back in with a win? Because that's what they're looking for here on this CT side. Again, a little bit favoured on cash. Nothing too heavy, so alternate attacks can't be too scared in that front. But it's still going to be quite dangerous. However, this is going to be the full eco, so I don't imagine we'll be seeing too much here. Just some pistols. Not really any investment apart from the save from Mike, and obviously the board up P250 that's going to be on Tarson. So pretty much a bit of a spray down here we're seeing. Alternate attacks aren't having too many troubles with the CT side of PENTA, and once again I can imagine a 3-0 is looming over the heads of PENTA.
Yeah, alternate attacks right now trying to grab control of mid. Crispy finds 2 as Tarzan just opts to burn to death in the flames. Doesn't want to leave that anytime soon. It was warm and toasty, and that's how he likes it here. Just playing on the edge of danger. Now it's Mike S alone on it in the site. Does find some damage on the back of the no-scope, but that's going to be it, as he is quick to be taken down. It's going to go 3-0, just like you said, Hugo, and now finally PENTA are represented with that chance to buy on up.
Indeed they are. AWP is going to be pulled out for Mike. We obviously have the full rifle buy, as only 1 kit's going to be invested, so that's one, I guess, weak side of PENTA. If a bomb does go down, alternate attacks are going to have a significant advantage in terms of holding it off, and PENTA may have a bit of trouble on that retake, but regardless, we're going to see how this one turns out. The bomb heading its way into the B side, at least a bit of mid-aggression, but straight off the bat, Mike S, he's going to be able to pick up that first kill. That's NKJ going down, so alternate attacks now in their buy round, going to be fighting an uphill battle to start things off.
Yeah, they are already at that man disadvantage. We can see they've relocated, kind of focusing over towards this A site now. They boost up over into mid. Crispy's going to be making his way out. Not going to be challenged anytime soon, as he does then reconvene with Tizian as well. The two players just synergizing nicely to grab control of mid. They have the crossfire set up to trade things out if need be. And now instead kind of looming over towards this B site, we can see they make their way through vents. It's all going to come on a Mycas. He's already got one frag, looking for a second. Flash goes out, and oh, he was in the wrong place. He's going to get his head taken clean off. And now they're going to continue this push in towards the B site. It's a 4-on-4, and Tarzan finds himself alone. Tasked with trying to hold this one down as they make their way up. Going to be able to find the first. He continues holding down the site, finds a second as well. Now it's Thryson and Gimpen here. 2 versus 4. He's trying to make his way on through to back him up, and Thryson, they line up for him. Going to find the first. It's actually Gimpen a find 2, putting this into a 2-on-2 now, and Bomb's going to be going down. The retake underway.
Yeah, this is going to be on, but Stefan's here to find the first. It's going to be Searson to try and now pull it out of the back foot here for alternate attacks. A bit of a peek from the upper area, but it's not going to quite connect. Searson gets tagged down in the meantime, and now a 2v1 in his hands. Only an HE to play with. It's not looking possible for alternate attacks, but he throws a nade out, just trying to hold on, and Crystal finishes it off. So it's Penta to finally pick up that first round. That's a smoke shot going the way as well. So a good start here for the CT side in terms of getting their first round on the board. But again, the reset is looming over them now. Obviously, with the potential of Penta over alternate attacks, coming back in with a win, that would push Penta back down to the $1,400 loss bonus, which is not where they want to be so early on into this first map.
Definitely not. I mean, Penta picking up that first round is going to be good for them, like you say, but does leave both economies really in danger of becoming reset here, as you were saying. And well, right now, Mycas going to be tasked with trying to hold down mid. It's going to be going for the peak with the AWP in hand, and you might be able to spot out the boosted up Thryson here as he tries to make his way on over. Sorry, it's Crisby. And well, that flash going to be allowing safe passage in towards mid. NKJ does get tagged down a little bit in the process, but it does ultimately win control of mid now for the side of alternate. Stefan trying to counteract this with some aggression of his own in towards A main, as we can see alternate once again splitting over towards this B site. 3 players making their way down through vents, and it's Tarzan who goes aggressive. Tasked with trying to hold down this B site.
Oh, this is perfect though. They don't realise, however, he only gets to dig for his troubles. That's going to be Tizian to get the entry frag, and alternate attacks, they're suddenly going to be able to converge out on this B site. Crystal has to hold the line, but the smoke has gone down. He's fully blinded now, and it's all going to be on these 4 remaining players for Penta to try and come back into this site here. But alternate attacks, they've got the bomb down, and despite 3 of them being very heavily tagged here, they may be able to have this one in the bag, especially with the fact that Penta, they're nowhere near retaking this site. It's going to be Gimpen to try and hold things off over towards Vent to Stefan, but he actually gets that pick onto Crispy with no trade just yet. Gimpen, he has to hit this shot. He can't allow this player to push him through, and Pincer in through the CT spawn as well. It's alternate attacks. Finally, they take the man advantage back in their favour. Searson will get that shot off onto Stefan, and these 3 CTs pushing out through the spawn. It's going to be Crystal, fully blinded and pre-fired as well. Tizian knows where he is, and he's getting the job done. Does try and follow up, but trades going forth through the smoke. However, it's Penta to run out of time in this round. They will have to save, and there's going to be another one for alternate attacks. So the reset coming in, the loss bonus fighting back onto the side of Penta, and they will only have 1,400, but with 2 saved rifles, there is a potential for a buy in this next round.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like Cash is one of these maps that naturally kind of favors attacks, which is why it's quite curious that Penta would decide to pick it up. When we look at how they've played within the, just exclusively within the ESL Meisterschaft League, we can see that, I mean, right now, Penta, they're 3-2 right now. They've lost to both Blue Jays and Devisen, sorry, on this map. They picked up 3 wins, but still, it's not quite as strong as the side of Alternate, who have shown a significant amount of domination on this map, playing up against, some of the top teams. They're 9-1 right now in the last 3 months. So that's a 90% win rate. When you compare that to the side of Penta, who are looking, significantly kind of weaker on this map, it is a little bit of a wonder as to why they would choose to pick it up against Alternate, a team that do have a very, very limited map pool. Really, when you think about Alternate attacks, you do think of Dust 2 or Cash, and they're the 2 maps that have been allowed to kind of come into this.
That's the thing, though, because you got to look at it like, well, what's Penta good at, really? What's their best map? And that is also Cash. However, while this may be better for Alternate, it's going to be Penta's only real chance of getting into this one. Most of their statistics are, as you said, kind of deflated by the fact that they're up against a lot of top teams, but even so, it's still not great for Penta. So really, it's a difficult map pool to be up against, even though it is limited for alternate attacks. But back into the round either way, and we're going to see a 4v4 underway. Alternate attacks have got themselves out onto this B site, and they do have Tarzan left to clear out, but he's only going to have a P250 in his hand. Flash goes out, he lands a few shots, but Searson's the one to get the kill, and Oscar is trying to find something from CT spawn. He is going to be smoked off, the bomb thrown towards the site, and that should be getting planted as well.
Yeah, it's a 4-on-3 right now. The man advantage can be going the way of Alternate once again as they lock down this B site. It is looking a little bit tricky here for Penta. They're kind of tasked with having to retake this with very little utility. Only a flash and a nade up on a Stefan, and I mean, they don't really have the ideal position to come in for this retake. All 3 players over towards CT. It's going to be very hard for them to find the pick to kickstart this one. As the flashes rain on through, they do take out Gimp, but Oscarich as well switches it up, goes for the 1-8 as he takes out Sryson, but it's Tizian and Crispy to combine at the end. They drop out all 3 remaining Penta Sports players there. And that is going to be the 5-1 scoreline secured now for alternate attacks.
Yeah, great stuff to get things off, obviously. This is such an important match for those wondering. Obviously, the winner of this is going to be going on to the grand finals here for the Meisterschaft, and the loser of this is going to be going home as well. So it's quite upsetting, and while obviously you could say these 2 teams are the best in the whole event so far, only one of them can make it through to the grand final. So a lot of pressure on the side of Penta for actually picking up these rounds, and going into their map pick, they are really having their struggles. So pistols are going to be out into this round. They've got a P250 or 2, a flashbang going to be brought up, but by and large, it's just going to be alternate to really take this fight to them, and we're going to probably not see too much here as the A side has already been conceded here from Penta, giving it away to this D side.
Yeah, I mean, alternate, they have full control wherever they're going. You can really see Gimp, and he's read this very well. I think he does just spot out Mike Hess there on this flank, and I mean, ultimately it was, you know, just a bit of an eco round right now from Penta. It was really just kind of a do what damage we can, see if we can make something happen, and ultimately they haven't. Mike Hess able to find 1, but that's really going to be Oscarish with the P250 trying to find a second, but all he finds is the sweet embrace of death as Gimpen takes him down. It's going to go 6-1. Alternate attacks, they take themselves a 5-round lead. And they do manage to keep a substantial amount of players alive in that previous round. That's going to help bolster the economy that much more on the T side.
I mean, Penta has been doing this damage, if you can see on the scoreboard now. A couple of rounds, they only had 2 players remaining on the alternate attack side. And while this isn't really enough to obviously turn out into a win, it is definitely possible to kind of get alternate attack's economy quite low. So maybe they don't have that AWP, maybe they don't really have enough nades, and maybe exploit them from that end. But Penta now going into their buy, they're the one on the receiving end of this baton. They don't have their own AWP, and the nades are limited, but we do have Crystal pushed up here. The timing may get the better of him, and it will. He goes down straight away to NKJ. Meanwhile, Oscarish is actually kicking things off for the CT side, though, so it is going to be an equal trade back and forth. However, this will be favouring the side of alternate attacks, and Tarson, he's situated towards the back of the vents here, waiting for the push to come through. They haven't cleared it out yet. He's going to check Crispy, drops the bomb in the open as well. Tizian not going to follow up as Tarson goes massive 3 kills. Tarson, that's going to be phenomenal. That is how you close out a round. It's all going to be on Gimpen, and while he may have the time to work with, he hasn't got the positioning at all.
Yeah, he tries making his way in through vents, but now it's just going to be left to fend for himself against the wall. So you can already see the aggression coming out in mid. Yes, does tag him down a little bit, but then Stefan and Tarson, they're both going to get dropped. He's nearly making a bit of a comeback here, but it's finally Mike S to finish things off. Does deal with that player. He's able to pick up 2 frags, but ultimately that is going to be that. It's going to go 2-6 now as Penta, they managed to pick up their 2nd round. Alternate currently leading still on that 6 scoreline. They have plenty of money in the bank to be able to buy up in towards this one. And Penta, they need to try and make their stand now. If they lose, then they're going to be reset, and we're going to be seeing a very similar scenario to what we saw earlier on.
Yeah, that is looking likely. We do not want to see that coming out, especially with alternate attacks having, you know, their last buy coming in as well. If they lose this one, they'll be on their own eco. So that's exactly what Penn want to start to do. If they can force down alternate to their ecos, and that's basically how you get gifted free rounds, and that's exactly what Penta need. But look at this boost from Stefan. He's up in top of the A main area. Hasn't spotted these 2 players just situated towards the edge of the box, and he's finally going to see an nade. Surely he knows there's someone there, but no, he's just going to back out. He's got his back to the wall. He turns round, gets that kill as a flash comes through, but Searson is quick to trade. It's now going to be in a 4v4, and the site control under the hands of alternate attacks as Oscarish, he's completely blinded, but he's going to spray through the smoke. 2 kills! That's huge. And now Penta, they are going to have this double man advantage and the bomb down in their favour. This could be another round for them.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the man advantage. Bombs down on the A site. They haven't rotated everyone just yet. That's they have to keep Tarzan in mid because of the length that NKJ was on. And well, now as a result, the guys up on A, they're paying the price for it. Gets turned into a 2-1-2 as Ryson's able to find himself a 2nd frag. And now they're trying to make their way out of the site. 50 seconds left. Going to leave them with plenty of time. Oscarish, though, quick to pick up his 3rd. That's going to be the hat trick. NKJ's going to find 1. And oh, there we go. Oscarish through the door. It's going to go 4 frags for him as he secures the 3rd round on the board there for Penta in a very spectacular fashion.
Nutty stuff, and it's so important as well because now look at the money on alternate attacks. They actually have a little bit more than I was expecting, but obviously not a full buy by any means. They've got 3 AKs, a couple of Tech 9s going to be bought up, and while this is definitely one of the teams that can kind of just have that profound aggression, they can take rounds even without a full buy, it's going to be a limiting factor that they don't want to face. And once again, Penta, they are going to be quite good on the economy for the time being in terms of having the weaponry, but can they sustain it? Because the CT side is so hard to keep this money going. That's how you kick off a round though, Crystal. Pushing up into B through the smoke, takes down NKJ.
a very early frag there for Penta. It's going to leave them in a very advantageous position early on as now Attacks. They have to try and play off the back of this one-man disadvantage. They try to counteract this by grabbing themselves some mid-aggression, and you can see it's going to be working out as they boost up Crispy. They also send a few players out through mid-main, and that's ultimately going to just lend themselves mid. You can see Mike S going to be the player tasked with trying to, exert some aggression of his own, but in the end, Attacks rerouting over towards this B site, a familiar ground for them where they found a lot of success previously. They're going to be trying to go on out, but Crystal, he's not going to let it happen. Picks up two, looking for a third. He keeps on going. Tizian's able to trade things out, but still it's a 2-for-1 trade for Penta. They find themselves now with a two-man advantage. And Tarzan on the site, he is going to get spied out. The flash is just raining on through, ultimately leave him completely blind and alone. Now it's only a man advantage for Penta, so it has been kind of whittled away. That nade's going to find some great damage, but Bomb does go down nonetheless as the retake comes in.
Yeah, the T's could make some work on this one. Tizian's going to be able to spot that first player as he team. I guess repeats, so when he just turns around, Stefan as well to clear it up. Out of nowhere, Penta come back into that site with great success. However, you do have to take into account the weaponry on the side of Ultimate Attacks going into that round. They did have those pistols, so being able to get so much achieved, bomb plant 3 kills, that's definitely one positive for them. And obviously, Ultimate Attack style, they're going to buy up again despite not having a full buy by any means. However, again, this will be a little more than the previous one. So they do have some potential in picking up this round. However, Penta, they've got 3 in a row, so slowly but surely they're building up the economy. But as you can see now, look at the damage Ultimate Attacks have done during these buy rounds. They have really lost a lot of players, which is why their money isn't so high.
Yeah, I mean, the economy on the CT side, naturally, you're going to be finding yourself worse off a lot of the time just because it is a lot more expensive to be buying up. And, I mean, with the damage that Alternate Attacks have been doing, we can see Penta still in a very vulnerable position despite winning the last couple consecutively. And as Alternate Attacks try making their way out towards the A site here, it's only Mike S to hold things down, and this could be a decision that comes back to bite Penta in the ass. As we can see, Crystal's able to find one out of Crispy, but the trade comes through. That's right, so quick to guillotine Mike S is going to be able to find another frag for himself. Stefan pushing up through A main, coming in from behind. He's done great damage, but is going to get taken out by Enki J on that Tech 9, leaving it now in a 3-on-3. The retake coming on through, 2 players up through Highway, and Tarzan making his way from Truck. Both Streisand and Gimpin stuck over here behind Quad. Streisand's going to get taken out, but Gimpin's there to trade things back out with the man advantage. Going to be leaning the way of Penta now. Tarzan, he's going to get taken out. And it's going to go 4-7 as Alternate Attacks, they retake I was going to say to retake the lead. They already firmly have the lead, but they take back that 3-round advantage and now find themselves with another round win under their belt.
And look at it, that's the thing, Penta haven't been able to build up this economy, as I was just touching on earlier. The fact that they've lost 3 players in every single round that they won means that their economy is so weak, and now they are going for that force. They just don't have anything to play with. 1700 really for most of them, and we do have at least a UMP on Tarzan, but that is going to be one bright thing in a dark scenario, because the rest of them are going to be on these full pistols. However, a flash setup through main to gain themselves some information could be the way they play this one. However, I mean, Alternate Attacks, they aren't even walking into this one, so it's not going to be anything for Penta apart from info gained. There's no one playing main at least, but regardless, Attacks, they are going to push out through mid. They know the economy of Penta. They want to take the long range fight up against these close range pistols, and they'll be doing a great job of it so far. Already making their way up towards Highway. They do get some damage off of the Crystal, but they're not going to quite take him down for the moment. But I can imagine it's just going to reroute into a B site take, because that seems to be what they're doing pretty much every round here. They've read this one perfectly, because Penta, no players here to defend.
Yeah, and it's a really curious decision. Alternate Attacks, their go-to strategy is grab mid, go B, and it's worked for them almost every time, and it looks to be no different this time around, as we can see that B site left completely undefended here. A very, very just kind of, weird choice coming out from Penta, as ultimately allows him to get this bomb down. It's a 5-on-5 retake. This hardly ever happens, and now we're going to be seeing that bomb is down. They do have a kit up on Oscarish. They've got a little bit of utility as well, so it's not a worst case scenario as they push on through. Oscarish going to find 2. Tarzan gets one of his own. It's a 2-on-3 now. Very low HP for Penta. And Streisand, he's looking to do some work. Goes out for the peak, finds 2 frags, and it's NQJ to take down Stefan to end things off. It's going to go 4-8 as Alternate Attacks. They turn that one around and recover from what could have potentially been the brink of defeat there.
Yeah, at one point it was looking quite sketchy as we saw that push back in from Oscarish and getting 2 kills. So at one point, you could almost say that Penta may be able to pick up that round, but regardless, they get the economical impact at least with just those pistols, and they will be going for the full eco now before their buy in the upcoming round. And Alternate Attacks, once again, no troubles on their side. They're not a team to really pick up that AWP that much here, just sticking with the rifles. They prefer to take those aim battles that they do succeed in so much here, especially on an aim-based map like Cash or Dust 2, which we'll be following up later. So Penta, really, while ecos are always interesting in the German team, this one's just too far gone. They've only got a P250, so I don't see too much happening here from the CT side.
Yeah, just a collection of Oosps and a P250 on the back of Tarzan to try and make something happen. You can see they boost Tarzan up into vents, but attacks, they've read this quite well. Tarzan able to find one, but Streisand's quick to trade things out. The crossfire is set up. Ultimately, though, that was a player who invested very, very little into buying that P250. He did just take down a fully bought member of alternate attacks, so a little bit of damage has already been done in favor of Penta here, but it does still mean... Oh, there we go, throwing his weapon out. That's a very nice touch. Doesn't want to allow Penta just kind of head up through mid, grab that, and then save it, help bolster their economy into the next round, as it does mean that's now gone. And well, it's going to be attacks once again. They grab mid control, this time looking to switch things up. Looking like they're going to try splitting on towards that A site. Yeah,
time's very low. At least they will finally set their sights on this one, but Oskrich is going to be holding it off solo. A bit of a rotation maker about as he hears his smoke go down, but in the meantime, Crispy's making havoc on the middle area. He finally goes down after one kill, but still, the A site going to be conceded now by Penta as the entry comes in from NK. That's going to be Oskrich to fall, but look at this picked up AK. It's making some work get done. Stefan, he only gets one before the trade comes through, and Crystal at least retrieves that AK, but now he's got to make that decision. Do I want to save, or do I want to commit to the retake? Because the thing is, his money's going to be fairly low in the upcoming round. He'll only have 4,400 without any kills, which is not going to be very great in terms of getting that utility up, even the AWP as well. So there is an argument to save this. However, it's a 1v2. There's always a possibility of him getting it. So he runs back into the site, pushing back towards the edge of quad. He has a player in main to deal with. He knows where they both are, but the aim punch going to get the better of him. That's NK to finish it off. If Crystal had armor, there was definitely a realistic scenario where he could have picked up that round, however.
Sadly, though, he didn't have armor, and as a result, he's going to get taken down. The aim punch playing into it there, like you say. And ultimately, it's just going to be another round on the board for attacks. At this point, things aren't looking too good for Penta here. We can see they can finally buy down once again. You've got the AWP up on Mike S, as you would expect. 4 rifles in play across the board for everyone else. And we can see right now, Mike S going aggressive early on, picks up one frag. Tizian gets dropped very early on out of the equation, and AKJ tries to refrag on the back of it, flashes himself on through, continues his aggression. I don't think they're ready for it. He takes out one, and that's going to be Tarzan going down, but Mike S is there, primed and ready to go. Drops him out, leaving it on Crispy and Streisand as they make their way up mid. Stefan is going to fall. That's going to help just open up this A site. You can see now it's all on Oskrich to try and defend this, and right now the remaining 2 players for alternate making a good bit of ground here as they do start pushing up on towards A. They tag out Oskrich and just force him off of this A site. He has to relinquish on back in towards CT, and that's going to allow this bomb plant and some very strong, potentially very strong after plant positions to come out.
Yeah, look at these heartbeat monitors that alternate attacks have. You can see that the heartbeat rate's going up and down when they play, and when they get into gunfights, it shoots up. Like that, Tierson just goes down. His heartbeat's right up, but he's dead, so it doesn't matter. It's all on Crispy. They're lined up, 2 massive kills, and now Mike S coming back in with the AWP. Surely there's no way that he can do this one. The weapon not really known for the retaking, but however, he will be throwing out that smoke, wrapping himself back around the site. Crispy's just going to be holding off towards the back of quad. Re-peeks back in, and he'll go for it. Massive round for Crispy. He gets himself the 4K to clean it up, and that will be the round for alternate attack. So 10-4 now, and into the last round of the half of Penta having to force things up.
Yeah, I mean, having those little kind of heartbeat monitors is a really interesting thing, and it does just allow us to kind of see how it affects players in those clutch situations. You can see right there, Crispy was about to flatline if he had to clutch that out any longer. But ultimately, he does get the frag. He gets the round once again. His heart could take a few minutes just to calm the hell down, and I'm sure that'll be all good. Much appreciated rest. Tizzy in towards mid, quick to drop Mike S through the smoke there. It's a very nice little early advantage to grab early on, as it just opens up mid once again. They've already rotated both Stefan and Oskrich down to try and force this issue out in towards middle, and actually Crispy does take out Stefan. Oskrich now has to try and fall on back. He's got a deagle in hand, but very little time to make his way up highway. He's going to get taken out as well. As Gimpen goes aggressive, but they might have the frags over towards A. They just continue over towards B, though. Crystal with the mag 7. It's all that stands between them and this B site. And ultimately, with his blood and brain splat against the wall, it's going to be very hard for him to hold it down. He's going to get dropped as the first half comes to a close.
Yeah, so that is at least secure for alternate attacks. They can't be too upset about that one going into this first map. Take into account for those just tuning in, this is a single elimination bracket best of 3 format, so the loser of this best of 3 is going to be going home with only 1,600 euros, whereas the winner will be guaranteeing themselves second place of 3,400. However, obviously everyone's going to want to go ahead and take that grand prize of 7,500 euros for today. And they're only a couple of matches away from it as well. So going into the second half, the pistol round comes in, Alternate Attacks, they're going to go for the confident buy. They've got the full armor, they don't even need the kits. They won't be taking these late round fights or late round defuses. They're just going to take the fights. And what is this setup from the CTs? Up into middle, they've got 5 players on that boost spot. This is incredible. I love this. I have no idea what it is, but I love it, Harry.
I mean, look at them there. That's almost like a team photo that they've positioned themselves for. Look at their heart rates as well. You know, pretty high actually. In all honesty, I figured they'd be a bit more calm on this, but
oh no!
Risky strategy. The thrill of the hunt is clearly getting to them. Mike S gonna fall in mid, and now they're just rushing B, but they're on the CT side. How is this even working? They're gonna be dropping these players left and right, and now it's only gonna be left on Tarzan here. 1 versus 2. He does pick up a USP, but that's gonna be it. Bombs down over towards this B site, and I don't even know how Alternate just made that work.
I love this. They're playing for the retake on A. That's the whole point of the setup. If it's a B play, they can instantly split in through the vents, and so that's a really interesting way to set up into middle. But either way, it is going to be, as you said, Tarzan trying to push himself back in. He does tag down, but not quite getting the shots off to land that crisp headshot there. However, still committing to this fight here. Grabs himself a smoke. That will allow him some freedom of movement, putting that down towards the B main area. Now he only has to take the fight on the close player, and that's going to be Searson peeking out. He's going to take a bit of a fight. Now a double peek coming through as they both try and take this engagement, and NK, he's going to pick it up. That will be Alternate Attacks to take that second pistol round as well. So a 12-4 scoreline now favouring them even more dramatically, as we can only imagine a couple of ecos coming out for Penta.
Yeah, I mean, we do see Mike S buying up the Deagle, so it is actually going to be a bit of a force buy coming out from the side of Penta right now, as you would expect. Typical kind of, you know, I almost want to say it's like the very German style of just going all Deagles, with the exception of Crystal, who, of course, you know, just doesn't, I mean, as well Oscarish, I suppose, but you know, Crystal doesn't want to be taking the Deagle into his arms, as you can see. Going to be trying to save up some money so he can, of course, be buying up that, or potentially carrying a little bit of utility into the round when they do finally buy one up. But Attacks going aggressive early on. We can see good damage found as Gimpen tags Mike S down to a mere 2 HP off the bat. And as a result, Penta, they have to fall on back from that B site now, and they have no information as to what's going on there, so they have to constantly be wary of their backs. We can see they're trying to make something happen over towards this A site. Stefan does find Sryson in towards mid, so actually the first frag going to be going the way of Penta very early on here.
Yeah, Alternate Attacks are at least looking good in terms of having the weaponry, but they will start to fall one by one. Oscarish gets himself a second. That's going to be Alternate Attacks now with a 3-man left on this CT side, although holding on to the site is Tizzy, and the bomb's dropped in the back of the quad now, so he just has to hold on to that. But Tarzan, massive D coming out there. NK does at least alleviate some pressure with 2 shots coming out, and a third as well. It's all on Mike pushing back in, but no, NK's going massive. 4 kills there, and his heartbeat not even slightly going up there. He's chill, and he's getting those mad frags. So another round there for Alternate Attacks, but a very, very close one, coming down to just the wire.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we have kind of seen, actually, since Penta have switched out into this T side. They've been able to make these rounds very, very close and very expensive for the side of Alternate Attacks. This round, they are just going to have to bite the bullet. It's going to be almost, you know, just a plain eco. They got a P250 up on Stefan. Tarzan's got a Deagle because, you know, why the hell not? And we can see mid-aggression coming out early on from Sryson here as he pushes on up. Tarzan is boosted up there with the Deagle in hand. And as he goes for the peak, Sryson actually going to be pushing in towards mid, and he's going to be undetected. They do, you know, try and pre-fire this through the smoke. They are ready for this, but he has got an MP9. It's just going to be crunching through these unarmored opponents. Stefan's able to take him out, though, puts it into the 4-on-4, but does get tagged down extremely low in the process.
Yeah, let's see how this one goes at least. There's a fair bit of time left for Penta to pull something out of the bag. If they do have some kind of intricate strategy, I can't imagine anything will really be working out too well as well with a lack of armor on this T side. But regardless, they do start to work their way up middle. The bomb as well, making its way into the A main area. So this is just going to be a casual split onto the A site. But assuming Alternate Attacks don't get aggressive, Penta may be able to potentially get a bomb down here. However, we do have this mincemeat player, Crispy, who's on that UMP, spots out the first split player. Now Tarzan's down. They know this is an A split. They know they're committing as well because of time. It's already ticking away. But Tizian holding on to the site, spotting out these players. He's got the information. They know the bomb's whereabouts and Gimp, and he's going to follow up with one. Tizian as well. Stefan does get some damage at least, but he will fall straight away after that. So Alternate Attacks, 14 rounds. They're looking like they're going to close out this map. And I mean, we went into this one, Harry, saying this is supposed to be, you know, the grand final match, the 2 best teams of the event. But Alternate Attacks, they are not taking prisoners. They are shredding Penta right now.
Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, though, it's a very weird map choice coming out from Penta. They've picked what is kind of notoriously Alternate Attacks' best map. They've got a 90% win percentage on Cash in the last 3 months. They're 9-1 on it right now, so it's very weird that they would decide to go up against them on this, especially when Penta's past performances on this map haven't been anything to write home about. And I mean, I think also we need to watch out for Gimpin because I'm constantly worried he's going to die. His heart rate is constantly up at like the 150s. I don't know why he's so worried. They're so far ahead right now. But, you know, his heart is showing some serious signs of failure. Unlike alternate attacks here, as they do look to continue a very dominant performance into this round. We can see a little bit of damage done early on onto NKJ. It's going to be returned in the form of Mike S getting tagged down low. Well, for the time being, Penta, they can't find any ground over towards this B site, so instead, falling on back, making their way towards A. Little do they know there's 3 members of alternate attacks here, just primed and ready to hold this one down.
Yeah, Penta smokes crisscross out in mid. They're going to push with it as well, so that's Stefan to push right up, but... I mean, Alternate Attack's really not playing any mid control here, which is interesting to see, considering they are a team that does like to take these aim battles, but sneaking right through the smoke is going to be Penta. They force himself up towards the top of the middle area, and while this isn't going to be an A split, that one player Mike can actually catch a rotation. So if Alternate Attack's push himself down highway and through vents, he gets himself a free kill, you'd like to assume. But regardless, the rest of Penta, 30 seconds on the clock, they are going to hit B. It's been telegraphed now to Alternate. They know exactly what's going on, and they're already flashing their teammates right in. Gimpin taking that first fight, but it's NK to get the pick at least for the CT side. Gimpin just baiting out time, trying to waste it before Penta can get this bomb down, and he will be going out for more, but a little too aggressive there. Oscarish finds 2. Stefan as well gets himself 1, and Alternate Attacks with 2 players left, going in for the retake. Oh, Tizian almost able to catch out 1. It's going to be Mike S though, getting a bit aggressive, and he does get shut down by Sears, so now into a 2v3 here. Tizian follows up as he gets flashed. That's Stefan to fall, and now suddenly Alternate Attacks, they're looking contended into this round. It's going to be Crystal, at least with the AWP to deny, and Oscar to follow, but Penta, by the skin of their teeth, they take it away.
Yeah, Penta able to take that round out from underneath them. It's going to go 5-14 as a result. They've still got, you know, a lot of ground left to cover, but they haven't allowed Alternate Attacks to reach match point just yet. I mean, the heartbeat monitor is a very interesting little idea. We can constantly see, of course, that both Mike S and Gimpin kind of on the verge of dying any minute now. But they are both kind of holding firm for the time being. It is going to be a buy on the cards once again for Penta. Alternate money is going to be enough to sustain a buy here. Oscarish drops Gimpin early on. It's going to allow him to have some leeway in towards this B site. As almost everyone going to be gathered up here with the exception of Tarzan, who is over towards A, trying to play that lurk role, trying to watch for any sort of aggression, as they do know Alternate Attacks are going to be on the eco here. Well, 2 players in this A site. Crisby boosted on over. Task for trying to hold things down. It's not going to be the case, as it does look like Penta still a little bit unsure. Wouldn't surprise me if they root in potentially through mid, try and, you know, come up against these pistols at some longer range engagements. But instead, it's looking like they're making their way over towards this A site. They're not going to be rushing into anything anytime soon. They've got 1 minute and 5 seconds left on the clock. Alternate Attacks know this map incredibly well, so they're not going to try and, you know, play into their hands at all with these pistols. They are just going to be taking things nice and slowly, aiming for these long range engagements. And Alternate Attacks, they read this very well. They rotate everyone off of B. They make their way over towards the A site. Potentially could have been a good read, but it is going to look like Penta finally making their way over towards B end of the day. So just as you say that it could be a good read, it is actually kind of the worst possible read you could have imagined. 3 players now over towards this A site, with everyone else making their way over towards B.
Yeah, the funny part is as well is the fact that we also see that, you know, Alternate Attacks hit B so many times on their buy rounds up against Ecos that you'd imagine Penta will be at least repeating the same working strategy, but obviously not. The stack not going to work out for them. They finally hear these players pushing onto the site, so they are going to be rotating at least, but it's going to be likely around for Penta Sports once again to pick up. But even so, it's such a long battle to get back into this game, and oh dear, NK just tagging down Tarsin through the wall. That's going to be classic. Absolutely no awareness there from Tarsin, but regardless, the retake's still probably not going to go too well here for the CT side.
Now, this is going to be an uphill battle. They have only got these deagles to play around with, and Oscarish, as he takes out NKJ, you can see Crystal playing up close with the AWP. Does get taken out, but Mike S is there to refrag, so ultimately not going to be that bad. They do keep, you know, the AWP and the AK alive. Could have, you know, avoided suffering as many casualties as it was just up against, you know, a deagle buy. But, I mean, Alternate Attacks, they're a team that's very strong with these deagles. You can't even count them out on the most basic of eco rounds because they're so talented at landing these shots. And, you know, Cash is very much their home map. It is the proving ground right now for Alternate Attacks. So Penta, while they had a bit of a rocky start on the CT side, since switching over towards the T side and winning these last couple consecutively, they have started to find their footing a little bit more. And Alternate Attacks struggling somewhat here of keeping things in check over on the CT side. Strison going to fall very early on over towards mid. It's going to give that over towards Penta, and as a result, you can already see they're eager to push this issue. They send Mike S up very aggressively towards Highway, who does try and spot out some aggression here. NKJ tries to counteract this in through A main.
Yeah, nothing going to be found, at least for the side of Ultimate Attacks. They've only lost this one, and they've lost his first player and not really had any response to it either. So Penta, bit of pressure over towards A. However, it doesn't seem, completely obvious that they are committing to this site just yet. However, I think that will be the late round case, as they do have a bit of squeaky control. The bomb going to be picked up, I think, here, as they just situate over towards mid. Just chill out for the time being. Allow Ultimate Attacks to kind of work out what they want to do, and maybe get aggressive on the CT side, which may feed kills to the Penta side. So it's finally going to be a B-take, at least, because it wouldn't be German CS if it wasn't a B-take on Cash, and they are going to split in through vents as well as B-main as per usual. NK up in the heavens, he is going to have to hold off against quite a few players, but I like this crossfire setup. It's Gimpen going to be sitting very, very close to the smoke, but he gets caught out straight away. NK, he sprays and prays, but he only gets one. That's Mike to double entry, and the CT's coming back in for this rotation. Crispy will at least drop the bomb in the open, and that's going to be pretty massive. However, the smoke allowing them to pick it right back up, and Tizian not going to be able to find anything there, not able to push through, or he will go down. So bomb going to be making its way to the site, 30 seconds remaining to do so as well, and Ultimate Attacks, they've got to work it out. Do they want to go for the retake, or are they going to save?
I imagine if they could find a friend, yeah, they are just going to be trying to go for this one. I mean, it is a 2-on-3, but as Oscaris takes out Tizzy, and it's going to be increasingly difficult for them to try and find anything into this round. Mike S on site just decides to kind of study the rare Crispy in his natural habitat for a while, glares at him through the terrifying mighty iron jaw of the AK-47 before rallying a few bullets through his soft, fleshy skin to pick up the seventh round for the side of Penta. It's going to be 7-14, and we are seeing a little bit of a resurgence coming out right now from the Penta Sports side. Tarzan buying up the MAC-10, wants to try and farm himself some money up against Alternate, who are going to be on an eco once again. They've got a few deagles in play, but not as many as usual. Instead, opting for these P250s. Crispy, the only player to stay true to his roots, does pick up the deagle. It's going to be a mid aggression early on here for the side of Penta, trying to grab it once again, trying to find some success doing a strategy that has worked for them phenomenally in the past.
Yeah, NK though, this boost is going to be pretty vital in terms of getting them anything out of this eco round. However, he will just have to back off with nothing there. Crispy on the other side of the map will be able to at least take one kill, but that's likely going to be one of the few that they will have for the Ultimate Attack side. That Deagle is lethal against rifles, but the P250s not as much. Obviously, if we see any close range engagements, that may change things up. But Penta, they still have the Molotovs to force out any of these players on the B site. And oh no, Harry, could we be seeing the complete wrong read here? Alternate rotating all their players back towards B. However, I think this is looking like an A-take. The B control is backing off in the form of Crystal, and Mike, he's pushing inside the squeaky doors as well. The bomb's in middle. It's really not been telegraphed exactly where they're going, but it's looking likely they may hit this A site, which could be terrible for Alternate Attacks, even on this eco.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, they're allowing Penta to just start chaining all these rounds together, and it's a very wrong read. Like you're saying, they've stacked everyone over towards its B site. And I mean, you know, one that would have been a safe bet if attacks are up against themselves, where they're very, very used to just kind of hitting B religiously. Penta, they're not like that. They do kind of telegraph their approaches most of the time. They're very varied in what site they go to, and this time it is going to be A. Attacks now caught with their pants down, having to rotate in from this B site, trying to retake this with, you know, majority speaking P250s in hand. Crispy able to find one on the back of that Deagle, just coming in handy at long range, and ultimately they're making a good bit of progress here. Crystal having to pick up the slack, drops out one player, but there's going to be tasked with trying to hold out a couple more. NKG able to find one as Oscaris gets taken out, but then it's Mike S. Oh, he finds three, and he's the savior of Penta here. It's looking very, very dicey, but now NKJ has to try and fall on back. He does have an AK for himself, and as you can see, his heart rate just doesn't change. He's got to be the player you would want, the healthiest player on the team by far. Look at him, 90-90. This man, his heart doesn't. He could, I don't know. He's fit. You try to come up with something funny.
He's been doing his squats.
I believe in you.
He's fit. He's been doing his squats. He's ready. But yeah, for those wondering, the passive number on the heartbeat monitor is their heartbeat right before the match. It was taken for all the players, so the number not moving, that is. But is that comeback real? I think is das means is the comeback real. I'm considering that, but I don't speak German, so don't judge me on that front. But look at that pick down mid. Crystal able to tag Searson down to 35 HP straight away with the AWP, but he's not going to be able to follow up at least. But Auto Attacks, they're bringing in some spice into their play. They've gone for this boost on the A side. I like to see this as well, so that's something at least to change up the pace here and see if Penta are going to be fully aware of it, or if they're going to fall to the surprise tactics. However, a bit of a push onto the B side from one player. It's going to be Micus to try and fake things out, and maybe cause some rotations here from the alternate side, but nothing will be found. They are just holding back passive. They don't want to force any players back out too early. As I say that though, Crispy, he's repositioned to the car, so playing a little bit more for retake, but nothing getting too heavy, and the spot from Gimpen as well through the smoke is he's going to be able to tell there's no players pushing, and if there are, it's going to be only one player faking. So now alternate attacks, you can already see rotating a player back towards the A site. That's Searson now, so they have a little bit of knowledge that this was a fake, but again, Penta could late round hit B. However, that's not looking to be the case.
Penta once again just going for this very, very passive play. They keep a player over towards A. They keep, that's in the form of Tarzan. Then they also keep Mike S over towards that B site. They have presence on either. Then they grab control of mid. And then based on the information they get on the back of that, any opening picks they get, they can easily split onto either one of these sites. So this time around, you can see Stefan trying to exert some pressure towards Vent. He spots out Gimpen, goes for the flash. And if he can get a frag here, we'll likely see the fast rotate in towards B. Instead, he's going to get tagged down low. And as a result, Mike S falls as well. That B site gets completely shut down. So instead, it's going to be A, the call of the hour, but it's Tizian who's been boosted up. Him and Crispy, they combine, they shut down this push. I mean, somehow they didn't even know he was up there despite him just raining death from above like an AC-130 gunship. Gimpen there to take out Stefan at the end, and alternate attacks, they arrive at match point. Penta, I was just saying how good that setup was, but it all comes crumbling down around them. We can now see it's going to be a very weak buy here into what could very well be the last round of the first map.
Yeah, very good stuff for auto attacks indeed, but Penta, they are going to buy regardless, obviously forced into that situation. We have a couple of Deagles out, some rifles as well. Not the best buy by any means, but enough to get the job done, especially we know what Germans are like with the Deagles. Pretty intense, I'm sure you all know, and Penta specifically being one of those aforementioned teams. However, Crystal, he's going to be kicking things off instead of the Deagle utilising that AK-47. So first pick going the way of Penta. The issue is alternate attacks not able to trade, but still, can they continue with these picks? That's a question, because if alternate attacks start to rack up the kills themselves, it's going to be very, very close to a 16-8. Although at least this round's been started on the right foot for Penta as they make their way towards middle.
Well, yeah, I mean, once again, it's the very similar setup we ran about last time. You keep that player over towards B, you keep Tarzan over towards A. You can go anywhere once you find that opening frag, and you can already see Streisand's gone down. So they're more than ready just to dedicate out onto one of these sites. The only issue is they left B, and now Gimpen, he's taken full advantage of that. He's pushed up, and, you know, for all they know, no one's pushing B. They had someone there to watch it, and they've just missed each other. The timing couldn't be worse. Ultimately, they get so much information on the back of this play, they rotate everyone over towards the A site. Gimpen coming in from behind. It's not going to be looking good here for Penta, and it was looking like things could have gone so right. He can hear them rotating back, going to be able to get the first, looking for a second, but Tarzan's able to take him out. It's a 3-on-3 now as Crispy quick to refrag, and they know that Penta's rotating over towards this B site. He's already charging on through. Crispy tasked with holding this one down now. They try to slow things up a little bit, but he's going to be able to spot them out. Goes for the spray. He's going to get dropped. Oscarish is there to entry frag out onto this site. It's still a 2-on-3. Bomb does cross safely though, and there's not, well, there's no utility right now ready for the side of alternate to try and make their way back into this one. It's going to be very tricky. They have to rely on raw aim alone.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, but they push themselves back into the vents. That's Tizzy at least taking the first charge. He does get one. Tarson's to fall, but there's still two more to find. Crystal going to be able to catch out that dropping player Inke, and now Tizian with just 8 HP in a dream. It's going to be crushed by Oscarish. Penta, they pick up another round. They keep it going for a little bit longer, and a 9-15 scoreline going to be in here. So dangerous stuff, at least from Crispy playing that for alternate attack. I like what he had up his sleeve, at least in terms of peeking up onto the B heavens there. But the issue is, obviously, the moment he goes down is that, you know, it's a 2v3 and it's left in a retake. However, the risk-reward play of trying to catch out these players before they got the bomb down was very clever. Either way, 15-9 is going to be inbound. The eco from alternate attacks. This half, you know, went very, very dangerously in favour of alternate, but it seems to be a little bit rejuvenated now for Penta. They've come back into this one looking quite fly. And
God,
okay, what's just happened? 2 Deags. He does get traded with a Molotov, but still, that's some economical impact if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, I mean, Tarzan, he's tagged down at 3 HP. Stefan is quick to go and mop things up. It is all going to be on Tizian now, but if he can find even a little bit more damage, it could bode extremely badly here for Penta. He dodges that Molotov, just jumping around like, I really don't know. Well, there we go. Clutch your kick. I know that. I know that much German. I can tell you. I can tell you what that means. Oh, there we go. Tizian, he's going to get one. He's looking for a second. Oh, he does so much damage. That was so close, but Stefan is able to trade things on out. They survive with a combined 20 HP on the side of Penta. They live to fight another day, but the economic damage is insane.
Very, very lethal stuff there from alternate attacks, but it's not going to be conducive to a win there. However, this may be their attempt to do so as we go into the next round, although this time it's even less to work with, just pistols again, and it's going to be a bit of armor at least, and three Deagles, two PT-50s, but I'm not got a whole lot of hope for them. At least they will be going for a full buy up in the next. However, Penta, they're slowly but surely wrangling their way back into this map here with 10 rounds after hitting double digits, so I'm getting quite scared for alternate attacks. We could be seeing overtime potentially. All it's going to take is a couple of buy rounds for that to happen, but maybe I'm wrong because these ecos are working out wonderfully. It's going to be Stefan at least to trade things out with his A push coming in down. Crispy tapping away with the Deagle, unable to connect, and NK getting flashed right through. That's going to land perfectly, but his bullets will not. He has to get a kill here, but he doesn't. Stefan takes him down, and now it's going to start to fall. It's at least looking dangerous for Penta, but now pressure has been alleviated. It's all on Searson, and I don't see too much happening here. Oscarish, the latest addition to Penta, at least, that's permanent or temporary, we're not sure yet, but he is doing some massive work.
Yeah, I mean, I always kind of said he was he's actually become very, very quickly one of these standout players within the team, and it's quite interesting to see, really, especially considering, you know, in terms of like the kind of like team gelling, you know, scenario to be in. It is a very interesting one because, you know, you got the whole language barrier scenario and whatnot. It is a very tricky situation indeed. We can see though this time around, alternate, they do finally have that buy up on the cards. Plenty of utility to play around with. 3 kits as well, so they're not going to be limited if that bomb does indeed go down. Another thing into this round, Penta, they can't find that early pick that they've been so used to getting, so they don't have the early man advantage. In fact, they've taken a lot of damage already out on a crystal, and this time they've had to change up their tactics accordingly. There's 3 players right now over towards this B site. They leave Crystal and Tarzan over towards A to watch for any aggression, but we are seeing Penta becoming a lot more focused. They're not being able to play with that kind of free roaming strategy that they have been doing before. They're very much pick and play strategy that's been working out for them. Instead, dedicating their attention in towards B. They do take out J, so finally they find that early pick. And now it's just Sryson over towards this B site in Vents, who has to try and hold them back if they do decide to go for this one.
Yeah, Penta taking their time after finding this first pick, which is definitely the way you want to play it. You don't want to be too aggressive and give away your early man advantage, but look at that flash, it's perfect. Searson drops out of Vents, he gets himself 1 kill. Going to follow up with another flashbang, that will land perfectly, but it's not going to actually blind anyone there. He re-flashes out again. It's just a flurry of flashbangs, but there's no one there for Penta to take the fight as they start to back off after losing this man advantage. Equalise back out now, and they will be hitting this A site, but I think it's going to be made blindingly obvious here as alternate attacks. They've already pushed up players, they're going to be rotating them through, and they know this A push is coming on. That nade, it could dunk a dunk, and it will. Lots of damage, but Tarzan and Crystal at least getting those entry frags as Tizian towards the back of the site. If they don't clear it out and they go for this bomb plant, he could be important, and he will. The bomb's dropped now. It has 15 seconds left before they have to plant it, and Tizian, he's going to go massive. That's 3 kills, and alternate attacks, they pick up that first map in style.